DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today we're talking about because I want to. I mean, you've seen the quote in the title. That's what this video is about. It's about you allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to adopt that mindset of because I want to when it comes to the decisions that you make about the things that you're going to do in your life. It's really about you making a decision, giving yourself permission to live your life for yourself when it comes to the choices you're going to make. I mean, about the people you're going to spend your time with, the way that what you're going to do for a living, what you're going to do when you're not working, whether you're going to have kids or not, how many you're going to have, how you dealing with other people, who you deal with, who you don't deal with, why you make the choices that you make. There are always going to be people who have opinions or something to share, or somebody wants you to do something a certain way, or somebody having a criticism. You giving yourself permission that knowing that all those things are around and all these other social pressures about what you should, could, would do, you giving yourself permission to live the way that you want to live just because that's the way you want to live, with that being the only explanation for it. And I'm going to give you 3 points, as always, to take with you on this topic. Number one thing is understand that if something is making you happy and it is producing the kind of life that you want, or at least getting you towards the kind of life that you want, is making you happy, and you're not hurting anybody else, you're not taking away from anybody else, you're not defrauding or breaking the law when it comes to another person or society in general, and you living the way that you want to live, then you don't owe anybody an explanation, and you don't need to change to fit what anybody else wants you to do, whether that's your parents, whether it's a husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, your fans on the internet, a mentor, whoever. If you're not breaking the law and you're not hurting anybody else in the process of doing what you want to do, then it's just what you want to do, and that's all you need to say. You don't need to explain to anybody else how you're doing the things that you're doing or why you're doing them if you don't want to. I mean, you go as far in explaining as you want to, but there needs to come a point where you say, you know what, I don't need to explain this to anybody. It's just what I am, who I am, and it's my decision, because I'm the one who has to live with this decision. I'm the one who has to live this life, not you, or them over there. And that's just the bottom line. And if people can't accept that, then that's their problem. It's not your problem. Point number 2, the topic again is because I want to. Living the way that you want just because is your decision with no explanation. Number 2 is understand that there will always be people with criticisms, critiques, ridicule, with something to say, who think you should be doing it this way, or think their way is better, or think, well, why didn't you do this, or it'd be much simpler if you did this. There'll always be somebody with something to add. Somebody always going to have their 2 cents to throw in, as we say, especially these days and moving forward, because with social media, everybody has a voice, and everybody has their own TV channel with YouTube. Everybody got their own newspaper with a blog. Everybody has their own photograph book with Instagram, or whatever you want to call it. Everybody has a what's the word I'm looking for? Everyone has just a vehicle to share their opinion, share their message, share their thoughts, whether you agree with them or not. And you don't have to agree with them, because it's their option to do that. So understand, you need to just deal with the fact that there's always going to be people who disagree with you, who don't see things the same way you see them, who would do something completely different if they were in your shoes, if they were in your situation. But here's the thing, they're not in your shoes, they're not in your situation, so what they would do has nothing to do with what you're doing. You need to come to grips mentally with dealing with that before it happens, and I guarantee you it's going to happen. If it hasn't already happened in your life, I'm sure it has, it's going to happen again. So be mentally focused enough, mentally tough enough, confident enough in yourself, disciplined enough to not feel like you need to go back and forth and answer to everybody. Understand that this is your life. You're the one who's living it. If other people disagree with it, then that's fine, but they're not the ones who have to live it anyway, so it doesn't matter that they disagree, because they ain't the ones who got to live it. So point number 3, the topic again is because I want to. You living the way that you want to live, doing the things that you want to do because you decided that that's what you want to do. Point number 3 is understanding, and not even understanding, but remembering, because you probably already noticed if you thought about it logically. The only person you're responsible for in the end is yourself. The only person you're responsible for living up to that person's standard, doing what that person wants, and making that person happy, pleasing that person, satisfying that person, making sure you're doing everything aligned with what that person would want. The only person who fits that description is yourself. You are only responsible to you. Now, if you got kids, you're responsible to your kids. But other than that, you're not responsible to your parents, because your parents brought you into the world, but they can't live in it for you. You're not responsible to your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and in my opinion, not even to your husband or your wife. I mean, they always got the option of leaving you if they really not feeling what you're doing. You do not have a responsibility to anyone other than a child, a dependent child. Other than them, You don't have a responsibility to anybody else to live up to their standards, their wants, their needs, their desires, their opinions. And if you find yourself doing that, then eventually you're going to find yourself living another person's life. And that's going to lead to, I think it's going to lead to a heavy dose of unhappiness for you. If it's not happening now, it's going to happen in the future. And in the future is even worse, because you're going to have all this time that you spent trying to live up to somebody else's standards, what somebody else wanted for you. And then you're going to realize, damn, that time is gone. I can't do anything about it. I wasted it following somebody else's path, following somebody else's plan, following somebody else's dream, adjusting to somebody else's opinion and their criticism. You are only responsible for you at all times. And anytime you spend feeling like you're responsible to somebody else's wants or needs, then that's just wasted time. That's just dead time, in my opinion. So recapping what we talked about here, the topic is because you want to, living the way you want because that's the way you want to live, without any other explanation. Number one, if it's making you happy and you're not, stepping on top of anybody else's rights, breaking the law, hurting anybody in the process of doing what you're doing. I mean, like actually hurting them. I don't mean like hurting their feelings because they disagree. I mean hurting them in a real way. Other than that, if you're happy, it doesn't matter. That's the thing that most matters to you in your life, I would think. Number two, there will always be people who disagree, who feel differently, who think you should be doing something different, who's going to have an opinion, and criticism, some ridicule. Learn to deal with it. Now, you don't have to argue with them. Don't go back and forth. There's going to be too many people. You don't have time for that. It's not making you happy. Why waste your time doing it? Learn to deal with the fact that everybody's not going to agree with you. And number three, at the end of the life, not just the end of the day, but the end of your life, the only person you're responsible for is yourself. You don't want to live your whole life adjusting to what other people want and what other people say, and then you finally get to death and you realize, damn, I never had the courage or the strength or the mental toughness or the confidence or the discipline to do what I wanted to do with myself in life. I've spent my whole life following what my parents wanted, what this person wanted, what the internet wanted, what these people over here wanted, what I thought these people wanted, even though I never even met them. You don't want to waste your life on that and then realize that you wasted it when it's too late to do anything about it. Because you want to live that way, that's the way that you want to live. Hopefully this helps some of you to make some decisions in your life. Because I get a lot of people come to me asking, what should I do here? These people say this person says this, I heard this, what should I do? You need to decide on your own. This whole video is about you not looking to YouTube or looking to a book or looking to an Instagrammer, is looking in the mirror and deciding, like, this is the way that I want to live, this is who I want to be, and this is what I'm going to do. And you being fully confident, standing on 2 feet in that decision. Work on your game. Oh yeah, my podcast is called Work on Your Game. It comes out every day. You want to hear me go deeper on these topics? I do it every single day on my podcast. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you can listen to podcasts is there. It's called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Work on your game. We out. My book, Work on Your Game, using the pro athlete mindset to dominate in business, sports, and life, is available now where all books are sold, physical, digital, and of course the audiobook, 100% done by me. You have learned from these philosophies, the mental game, business, sports, life, anything you do, this is the book for you. Go get it now and work on your game. Dre all day.